afternoon and welcome back to Girded with Truth. This afternoon we will be talking from the perspective movement or massacre. We're going to go to 1 Samuel chapter 30 verses 1 to 8. And it came to pass when David and his men were come to Ziklag on the third day that the Amalekites had invaded the south and Ziklag and smitten Ziklag and burnt it with fire, and had taken the women captives that were therein. They slew not any, either small or great, but carried them away and went on their way. So David and his men came to the city, and behold, it was burned with fire, and their wives and their sons and their daughters were taken captives. Then David and the people that were with him lifted up their voice and wept, until they had no more power to weep. And David's two wives were taken captive, Ahinoam the Jezreelitess, and Abigail the wife of Nabal the Carmelite. And David was greatly distressed for the people spake of stoning him, because the soul of all the people was grieved, every man for his sons and for his daughters. But David encouraged himself in the Lord his God. And David said to Abiathar the priest, Ahimelech's son, I pray thee, bring me hither the ephod. And Abiathar brought thither the ephod to David. And David inquired of the Lord, saying, Shall I pursue after this troop? Shall I overtake them? And he answered him, Pursue, for thou shalt surely overtake them, and without fail recover all. So, we're looking at this situation. Is it a movement or is it a massacre? So David went to Ziklag. And when he went to Ziklag, the entire city was burned, the woman taken captive. But in the midst of this situation, you could say, well, why did God allow this to happen? But if you're looking from a different perspective, you could say, thank God that the women and the children were not slain. Because when war happens, there are casualties, there are deaths that take place. But in this situation, everyone was taken captive. No one died. No life was lost. So instead of saying, why did God let this happen? We can say, thank God for his protection. Thank God for giving us the opportunity where we can still be rescued for something. Thank God that they still had their lives. And we can say that today. Thank God we're still alive. We might not be where we want to be. We might be going through struggles, trials, and tribulations. But thank God that our life is preserved. Thank God for his protection. And then it went on to say that the entire city was burned. And everybody began to cry and weep. And it stated that David's two wives were captured as well. So he didn't just lose one wife, but he lost the two of them. And then he was so distressed because he feeling stressed out, his wife's gone. He feeling like he in a tough situation. And then he have these people pressing against him that want to stone him, that want to put him to death. And he now have to stand as their leader and not focus on the fact that the people want him to be stoned. But he had to stand in the middle of this situation, not grab straws, not try to find a way out of being stoned, but he had to stand in the situation and say, only God can get me out of this. And we are in situations today that only God can get us out of. I am in a situation today that if God don't show up, it can't be done. But God is saying, trust him in the process. And David, instead of looking for people, instead of looking for somebody to talk to, instead of trying to talk his way out of being stoned, he sends for the ephod. He said, you know what? It's only God could help me through this. And he calls for the ephod and he enquires of the Lord. He did not allow the disturbances of the people, the quarrels, or the fact that the people wanted to stone him, to get inside of him or to change his perspective about how he sees God. But he focused on who God is in his life, and he decided, no matter what is happening, I am going to inquire of the Lord. He didn't just say, okay, come, let me go get back with wives and stuff like that. No, he said, listen, it don't matter what is the situation. Even when my back is against the wall, I am going to trust God. I'm not going to grab at straws. I'm not going to do my own thing. Even when it seems hopeless, I am trusting God. And it said that he called for the ephod, and he went and he inquired of the Lord. And he asked the Lord. He was like, listen, that's my both wives, and these people want to stone me, but Lord, I come before you to ask, is it okay? Shall I go up? And God tell him, of course, go up. Pursue that thing, because you will, without fail, recover all. And we might be in a situation that seems hopeless today. We might be in a situation where we're standing in the middle of both a movement and a massacre. But how you perceive it is what will cause the situation to change. Do you inquire of God and say, Lord, I want to make this a movement? Or are you standing in the middle of a massacre and saying, woe is me? Are you standing in the middle of a massacre and blaming God? Their life was still preserved. No life was lost. They had the opportunity to be rescued. They had their life, and they were being set up for greatness. They were being set up to recover all. So, are you in the middle of a movement or a massacre? Are you seeing your situation as a massacre or a movement? Today, I encourage you, don't see all of life trials, don't see this situation, don't see this as a massacre. Instead, change your perspective and see that God is just waiting to show up. We are all standing in the middle of a move. It is how you perceive it. So I ask you again, massacre or movement? I choose to believe that I am standing in the middle of a movement, and God will show up at any point in time. And if he's going to show up for me, he will surely show up for you. I believe that I am standing in the middle of a movement. Thank you so much for listening. Have a wonderful weekend. Bye.